With the Lions getting set to host the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday, there's definitely one thing that's on my mind right now. How much are they going to embarrass the NFL once again? We're going to talk about it, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. My friends, I'm going to tell you this right now. This upcoming game that we have against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm telling you, is definitely a game that I think is great for the Lions, because if you take a look at how, everything's kind of, worked itself out, the Lions are 8-1. They're well within the driver's seat of not only NFC, but also the NFC North. And they just got done having a very tough, very crucial road victory over the Houston Texans last Sunday. Now they're getting set to come back home, first time in a while since they've been home, and they're going to get an opponent in the Jacksonville Jaguars, which, let's be honest, is quite literally the exact opposite of the Houston Texans in most capacities. So, the reason why I have my episode not only themed this way, the thumbnail, the title, is I expect, as does everybody else in the damn league, that the Lions are not only going to win, but they're going to win big. Because, you just have to take a look at the two teams. It's just ridiculous how much of a vast chasm there is between the two teams. Let's actually start looking at this in terms of overall stats. Let's take a look at the Lions offense first, then opposite of it, the Jaguars defense, and the same thing in reverse, and we'll take a look and see what we got. When you take a look at the Lions offense, again, I've said it multiple times, I'll say it again here. The Lions have an offense that is absolutely stupendous. It is very much a top 10 offense. There's virtually very few rankings that are not in top 10. Again, if I recall correctly, just by looking at my piece of paper here, I've got I think we've got 4 that are not top 10. So again, you're talking about an offense that is very good, it's very powerful, it's very efficient. Pretty much what it has been almost all year. So that's the Lions offense. And again, the one thing that they are getting even better at is, continuing to get better in the red zone, continuing to get better on third down, scoring drive percentage. All of these things are getting better every single week for the Lions offense. Let's go to the opposite end. Let's check out the Jaguars defense. I'm going to just tell you all this right now. The Jaguars defense might as well be the epitome of dead rock bottom, because I'm telling you, this defense is horrible. You take a look at the freaking rankings, almost everything is in the 30 ranges. You just take a look at the first 7 rankings, it's like 30, 31, 32. You don't even get to another ranking outside of the 30s until you get to rush yards. This defense is just bad. It's ridiculously bad. And the one thing about this defense I want to point out, I want to highlight really quickly here, is this defense is bad in giving up points, bad in giving up yards, it's bad against quarterbacks, and it's ridiculously bad at applying any sort of pressure or blitzing of quarterbacks. So think about that, folks. This defense is absolutely horrendous. In fact, the only area where their defense has any sort of life capacity is their rush defense, and even that's not that good. So this defense is absolutely just ridiculously bad. There's no way around that. Okay, let's do the opposite. The Lions defense versus the Jaguars offense. You take a look at the Lions defense. Again, this defense is getting better and better, not only in what we're seeing on the field, but also what we're seeing in the rankings. Because when you take a look at the rankings, these numbers have been constantly going up throughout the year. But the one area that I am ridiculously impressed with, I am ridiculously proud of, is the freaking situational defense. Take a look at the very bottom. You're going to see third down percentage, fourth down percentage, score drive percentage, red zone percentage. Almost every single one is in top 5 contention. That's impressive for a defense. That pretty much means that we are not only stopping teams from converting on third or fourth down, we're keeping them out of the end zone and not allowing them to score points. That is the mark of a championship caliber defense. You make it damn near impossible for an opposing team to try and score on you. And again, if I'm just being honest with myself, I think if we were to seriously take a look at this, and I'm willing to bet this right now, I'm about 95% certain, I do not think there is a single opponent yet this year that has scored 30-plus points on us. They've gotten into the 20s several times, but nobody's been able to get 30 on us yet. That's pretty damn impressive. Okay. The other thing I just want to, quickly highlight here is also that the blitz percentage is pretty damn good. The pressure percentage is good. Sacks are kind of middle of the pack, but I anticipate that's going to go up here quite a bit pretty quickly. And with that, let's flip over to the Jaguars offense. Jaguars offense, their offense is definitely better than their defense, but their offense is pretty much what I would call below average. That's pretty much the best way I could take it when you take a look at their offensive rankings, because nothing is in the 30s, but a lot of numbers are really close, and there's not a whole lot of numbers that are top 10. In fact, I only think there's 2 on this list. So again, you're talking about an offense that has some semblance of life, but it's not really much. So again, a below average offense. So that's what we have as far as ranking statistics for the Lions offense and defense. So when we think about it from that perspective, I fully expect that the Lions are going to spank the Jaguars' ass. And I fully expect that they're going to do it probably in the most ridiculous manner possible. I'm thinking it's probably going to be right up there with what the Lions did to the Cowboys, what we did to the freaking Titans. I'm thinking that's exactly the kind of game we're going to be in store for. Because when I take a look at how bad that defense is for the Jaguars versus how good our offense is, and the fact that we're going to be at home, not on the road, at home, dude, you're setting everything up for a perfect wave of events. And the best way I think that this is going to happen is this Lions offense is going to probably murder the Jaguars' Swiss cheese defense. Because if you think about it, like I said, virtually every freaking ranking they have is dead last. But where they are particularly bad at is their pass defense. Their pass defense is absolutely horrible. And I believe that the Lions are going to heavily lean on throwing the ball this game, and I believe it for 4 main reasons. Let's first take a look at reason number 1. That would be Jared Goff himself, folks. Yes, I know, Goff had a bad game against the Texans, but I've already talked about how 4 out of those 5 interceptions are not on him. Campbell has concurred, and a lot of other people have concurred. The only ones that don't really agree are pretty much his haters. So, keeping that aside, if you take a look what Goff's numbers are, even with the bad game he had in Houston, he's still ranked 2nd in passing completion percentage. He's top 14 in passing yards. He's ranked 14th, actually. He's ranked 3rd in passing average per throw, ranked 7th in passing touchdowns, and ranked 3rd in passer rating. Again, Goff is still a top 10 quarterback statistically, almost top 5. So, okay, Goff has been playing absolutely lights out for pretty much 6-7 games of the year. And now we're coming back home where Jared Goff has historically always been better. Okay, so that's reason 1. Reason number 2 why I think the Lions are going to lean heavily on the freaking passing attack against the Jaguars defense. Let's just go back really quickly and take a look at the numbers that I put up there, but I'm going to go even further into the numbers. Because, okay, yeah, their pass yards, pass percentage, passing touchdowns, those are all ranked damn near the bottom. But when you start actually getting into further details, it gets even worse. Their touchdown percentage is ranked near the bottom. Their pass interception percentage is ranked near the bottom. And again, they don't blitz, they don't freaking pressure, and they don't really do a very good job of hurrying the quarterback either. So think about this, folks. They can't get pressure on the quarterback. They can't really, affect the quarterback by making him uncomfortable. They hardly, if ever, blitz. And they give up a crap ton of yards, a crap ton of touchdowns, and their completion percentage as a defense is almost 70%. Dude, I don't need to be a freaking genius. I don't need to be a freaking mathematical wizard to figure out this is okay. This is where they're weakest at. This is where we need to go. Now, that was reason number 2. Reason number 3. Let's just keep this in perspective here. Let's take a look at other quarterbacks that they have played against that I would argue are either 1, considered bad as far as how they're doing this year, or should I say or, they're rookies. That should give you all a hint what I'm about to do here. In 2 other games that the freaking Jaguars have played this year, both games that they lost, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. I know they did against one, but here's the point. In the game against the Bears, the same Bears that have been absolutely dreadful on offense for like the last 5 weeks, Caleb Williams had his best game of the year. He was 23 of 29 for almost 80 completion percent, 226 yards for almost an 8 and average a throw, 4 touchdowns to 1 pick, for a 124.4 passer rating. The same Caleb Williams, mind you, that has looked absolutely horrendous the last month. He goes out as a rookie with same offense, and he puts up a pretty damn good day. Okay, that's the Bears. Now, the Bears do have weapons. They've got Odunze. They've got freaking, Allen. They've got freaking all these other weapons at their disposal. But what about the Patriots? Take a look at how Drake May did against the freaking Jaguars. Against the Jaguars, Drake May was 26 of 37 for 70 completion percentage rate. He had 276 yards, 7.5 an average a throw, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 109.7 passer rating. Again, that's a pretty damn good day from a rookie quarterback, especially Drake May with the Patriots. The Patriots' offense is not that good. It's pretty damn mediocre. But yet Drake May goes out there and he has himself a pretty damn good day. Now, if I recall correctly, I believe the Bears won and the Patriots lost. But as we all know, that was not because of Drake May. The numbers themselves already point that out. But again, both rookies. Rookies absolutely went up against this Jaguars defense and they pretty much just smoked them. So that's reason number 3. My reasoning is, if those rookies can do that against this Jaguars defense, what the hell do you think freaking Jared Goff is going to do? Especially with all of the weapons that we have. So let me get to reason number 4. Here's the reason that I think is going to be a really big one. And how do I put this? I'm going to say it's the ability of how the Jaguars allow teams to score on them. So how are they having opposing teams score on them? Well, let's take a look at some numbers here really quickly. Again, red zone percentage, third down percentage, fourth down percentage, not good. But they have almost double the amount of passing touchdowns to rushing touchdowns on their defense. And then when you take a look at their analytical grades, not only from, PFF, but also from FTN for DVOA, what you're pretty much going to notice here is that their pass defense, both DVOA and PFF, are atrocious, whereas their run defense, according to the same analytics, are actually, somewhat respectable. So, okay, pretty much lay it out here like this. According to the analytics, they're a much better rush defense than they are pass defense. In the past, 2 rookies have absolutely had field days against their defense. They can't blitz, they can't pressure, they don't really get sacks, and they have pretty much the worst pass defense, not only in terms of completion percentage, in terms of passer rating, in terms of passing touchdowns, passing yards, whole kit and caboodle. And then you factor in that Jared Goff is having an absolute ridiculous season, regardless of the last game he played, and we're playing at home. Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that the Lions are going to throw the ball unmerciful on them. I would not at all be surprised about that. Now, I'm not saying they're not ever going to run the ball. Obviously, they will. But do not be at all surprised if the Lions lean a lot more heavily on throwing the ball this game than running the ball. They're still going to run it, but I'd be willing to bet there's going to be a little bit more of a lopside here. Now, that was obviously the offense against the Jaguars' defense. But what about the Lions' defense and against the Jaguars', bad, kind of like mediocre offense? Again, I believe that the Lions' defense is going to terrorize their offense. The best way I can look at their offense, it's like a ship without a rudder. All it's pretty much doing is just going around in circles. It's not getting anywhere. Again, take a look at the Jaguars for what they are. Their offense has been virtually bad all year. I mean, there's a reason why you're 2-8. That's one of the main reasons, is when you can't score or you can't outscore opponents because your defense, as I just demonstrated, is as bad as it is. Yeah, you're in a bit of a problem. But then, number two, to piggyback off of that, the other reason I think the Lions are going to terrorize their offense is because, that's right, T-Law's not playing in this game. Mac Jones is going to be playing in this game because the Jaguars announced that they're going to keep Trevor Lawrence out of the game because they want his shoulder to continue to heal and because after this game, they have their bye week. So it's like, okay, give Trevor Lawrence as much time to heal, so we'll put Mac Jones out there for another game. Okay, let's call it for what it is. Mac Jones is not a good quarterback, and because of that, he's going to give us a lot more opportunities to get interceptions and or sacks. Number three, I'm telling you this right now. If you go back to last game we just had against the Texans, the freaking Lions got 4 sacks against said Texans. But now we're getting that boost we were wanting to have against the Texans. Zadarius Smith is going to play his first game for us. And lo and behold, it's going to be in front of the home crowd, just like I thought it was going to be. So that's reason number three. You're getting a huge boost to the pass rushing element. And then the last thing I'm going to say is why I think the Lions are going to terrorize the Jaguars offense from our defense is that our rush defense freaking came back to form against the Texans. We held freaking Joe Mixon to, I think, just a little over 50 yards on like 20-something carries. If y'all remember, I said Joe Mixon in the previous 4 games up to that point had run 100-plus yards every single game and had 5 rushing touchdowns. And we pretty much held him in check the whole game. So, again, pass rushing element's going to get a boost. We already know that we've got ball hawks aplenty in the freaking defensive backfield. Carlton Davis got 2 in the last game. Kirby Joseph has freaking 6. Brian Branch has 4. So that's taken care of. And then again, we just showed against the Houston Texans and against Joe Mixon, one of the hottest running backs in terms of performance lately, that, we can still hold you guys in check from that perspective. So it's like, okay, you can't really run the ball. If you try to throw the ball, chances are you're going to either get a sack or an interception. So that right there does not bode well. And it especially doesn't bode well when you consider the fact that the Jaguars as a team have only scored 30-plus points or more twice. And obviously, that was with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. But if you go even further into the numbers, they've only averaged 20.2 points a game this year. They've only averaged about 195.2 passing yards and 107.7 rushing yards per game. So, as a total, their offense is neither productive nor efficient. But where they are particularly weak at is throwing the ball, which is why running the ball is what they primarily like to do. That's why I was bringing up the rush defense, because that is something that I believe the Jaguars are going to try. Now, getting back to Mac Jones here really quickly. I'm telling you guys, I already kind of said it, but I'm going to go into it further. Mac Jones is going to give our freaking defense a whole freaking amount of stats as far as sacks, interceptions. I believe we're going to have a field day with him. The reason why I think this is because just go back to the game against the Minnesota Vikings that the Jaguars just played. Mac Jones was 63.6% completion rate, barely over 100 yards for 5 an average a throw, no touchdowns to 2 interceptions with a 38.3 passer rating. And we already know how damn good that defense is. Because when we played against that defense, we heard all about it. But again, how did Jared Goff do against that defense? Oh, that's right. Goff was 88% completion rate for 280 yards, 11.2 an average a throw, 2 touchdowns to no interceptions, and 140.2 passer rating. When you take a look at that, you see the sheer freaking chasm of talent difference there is between those two guys. The dichotomy, if you will, between those two quarterbacks. Now, I am going to say this. This is going to tie a little bit back into the offense that I talked about earlier here. But I already know some people are trying to say, oh, well, because, the Jaguars defense, they made the freaking, Vikings offense look terrible and Sam Darnold look terrible. You shouldn't be touting Goff as much as you are. Okay, here, back up a minute. Let's understand who the hell we're talking about here. And I'm not talking about the Lions quarterback. I'm talking about the Vikings quarterback. You want to tell me that I should, not be so quick to think that my quarterback, my offense is going to shred said defense because the Jaguars made Sam Darnold look bad. I'm just going to tell you this right now. The Jaguars are not a tough defense, and Sam Darnold does not have to have a whole lot of effort be put in for him to be looking bad. He's looked bad quite a bit of his career. Because, oh, that's right. Freaking, Sam Darnold against the same defense that's ranked 31, 32, and 30th in all the freaking passing categories that I've already talked about. He was 63.2% for 241 yards, 6.3 an average a throw, no touchdowns to 3 picks for a 48.2 passer rating. Oh, and mind you, he also got back TJ Hawkinson. He had Jordan Addison. He had Aaron Jones. He had Justin Jefferson. He had his full complement of weapons against the worst pass defense in the NFL, and he got picked 3 times. At least when Goff got picked 5 times against the freaking Texans, okay, I could buy that because the Texans have a pretty damn good pass defense. But as we already knew, 4 out of the 5 were circumstantial, not because Goff threw bad interceptions. Same can't be said for Darnold against the Jaguars. So think about it here. Sam Darnold, being the savvy vet supposedly, was outperformed by both Drake May and Caleb Williams in their respective games against the same said defense. So Caleb Williams, who is on probably the worst offense right now, who can't even really get anything going, Drake May, who's probably on one of the worst offensive team builds so far this year, they both outperformed Sam Darnold, but yet somehow I'm supposed to take Sam Darnold's performance against the Jaguars as an indicator that they have a really good defense. Please tell me how in the hell that makes any damn sense whatsoever. So, sorry I went back on that for a little bit, got on a little bit of a tangent, but I had to talk about it because for people to think that, I find it laughable. And I know some people are going to say, well, David, Jared Goff said the same thing. Dan Campbell said the same thing. Okay, I understand that. And I'm not saying that the Jaguars don't have talent on defense or on offense, because they do. But let's understand something here. The Jaguars, even though they might have talent, compared to the talent we have across the board, it just doesn't match up. It doesn't match up at all. So for me, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to underestimate the Jaguars. I'm not going to take them lightly. Because, again, any given Sunday. But if I'm taking a look at the prospective odds here, it's like, dude, we would have to literally sleepwalk our way through the game in order for something like that to happen. And I don't think the Lions are going to do that after what happened to them against the Texans on Sunday night. That game was a real wake-up call for them to be like, okay, we need to get back to getting to what we do as far as getting tight on our freaking, details, making sure we're all honed in, we're locked in. I guarantee you they are not going to have that same, kind of whatever mindset they had going into that game versus against the Jaguars coming back home. Ain't going to happen. And again, like I said, to kind of just, finish this whole thing out with the defense, like I said, the Lions' defense is getting a huge upgrade in its passing rush element because we're getting back Zadarius Smith, who is a top 10 pass rusher according to pass rush win rate from PFF. So, okay, like I said, the Lions got 4 sacks against the Texans, and the Texans have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Well, what do the, Jaguars have? Jaguars' offensive line is actually not that bad, but again, it's not good either. According to PFF, and I'm not going to put this up on the screen, I'm just going to talk about it. According to PFF, they have a 19th ranked pass block grade, which is 65.5. They have a PFF run block grade of 59.6, which is ranked 25th. So, okay, not great numbers, and, the run grade could definitely be a lot better, but again, it's not in the 30 range, or even closer to it compared to the Texans was. But when you flip over to ESPN and you take a look at their pass block win rate and their run block win rate, you're going to get very much the same picture. According to ESPN, the Jaguars' pass block win rate is at 60%, which is ranked 15th. So pretty much right in the same ballpark as what PFF is saying. And then when you take a look at their run block win rate, it's again 69%, which is ranked 26th. So again, right in the same ballpark as 25th from PFF. My whole point is this. While the Texans had a crap offensive line and the Jaguars definitely have a better one, with an actual verifiable, threat off the edge in Zadarius Smith, not only is that going to heighten our chances off the edge to make plays, but now it means that the edges of the offensive line, the tackles, they have to actually be very aware of where Smith is at, which then means there's going to be opportunities that open up for guys like Levi Onwuzurike, freaking DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, and others. Just having Zadarius Smith's presence is going to make our defense even better than what it has been recently. And that ought to scare the ever-living hell out of people. So, when I say I believe the NFL is going to get embarrassed again, the reason why I'm saying that is because you have a team like the Jaguars that's coming into Ford Field. It's coming into the literal lion's den. And the Lions barely escaped with a win against the Texans. They know that wasn't their standard. They know that they've got a better performance in store than what they had. So they're going to make sure that they've got everything, knuckled down, buckled in, and they are going to come out and they're going to be playing to show everybody, like, listen, forget what you saw against the Texans. Yeah, we were able to fight back. We were able to win, have a good team victory. But that's not indicative of our offense. You really want to see our offense actually see how we perform against the freaking Jaguars after, what happened against the Texans. I would be shocked if the Lions offense is not completely locked in, which means Goff is firing, the football into very tight places, or he's getting the ball out extremely quickly to wide open receivers. We're getting good running lanes. I'm expecting the Lions to run away with this one, because I just don't see a way with the numbers the way they look and the attitude that I believe the Lions are going to have coming in from the Texans game. I just don't see a way that the Jaguars are going to be able to contend with that at Ford Field with, 67,000 screaming fans at them and with a backup quarterback in play. But anyway, folks, I'm going to end this episode. I've definitely said my piece, so having said that, I'm going to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all to not only subscribe, but also please make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content I push out. Also want to encourage y'all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. Hell, even share it here on YouTube if you can. The more we do it, the greater the channel can grow, the greater the channel can spread. And with that being said, I hope you all got something out of this. I hope you all enjoyed the content, whether you've been a long-time viewer or this is your first time viewing me. I also hope everybody's got something in their life that makes them happy and makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.